if you want to add some groove into your playing, add a little bit of percussion, there's a really easy way to do that. And this is good for if you're playing by yourself, or even if you're playing with a band. It might be just a small amount of people, but this really helps, especially if there's not a lot of percussion present. You know, if you're doing more of a kind of thing where it's maybe a vocalist, maybe a couple of instruments, you know, this works really well. So here it is. First, let me show you the chords that I'm playing. First guy we have here is an F major 7, sus2. Refer, of course, to the diagram right above here, as always. A7 sharp 5. D minor 9. And a C7. Now I'm going to be exploiting a variety of techniques here. So I have the smaller window that's right above me here, a little larger, have more of the frame in there so that you can see a little bit more of what I'm doing, and I'm hoping the wider angle helps you out there. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add a simple knock or a slap across the strings with my knuckles. That's all it is. So generally what I'll do is I'll add this on 2 and 4. It's a commonly used technique, and it's commonly placed on 2 and 4 to emulate the backbeat of a snare drum, of a drum kit. Okay, so now if I play example 1, it'll sound like this now. And that helps to move it right along. Okay, so that's a pretty easy way to execute this wrist slap just by using your knuckles. Okay, the second thing we can do, and this is very cool if you're playing solo guitar. It's kind of a delicate technique. However, you know, this works on a variety of styles, different guitars. If you're playing with a band, this will certainly work as well. I think in this context, playing solo guitar, I think it's maybe a little bit more, maybe flashier, if you want to say that. And what I'm doing here in example 2 is I'm almost emulating like a bass line here. Okay, so if you think of what a bass player might do if they're popping and slapping, we're not quite doing that, okay, but we're kind of doing a little bit of that, and we're emulating that style. So what we'll do first is just kind of getting used to this little technique here. What I'm doing is I'm using my thumb on the 5th string, first finger on the 4th string, second finger on the 3rd string, and I'm just simply collapsing my left hand against the fingerboard here, muting out the strings, and just simply playing thumb, 1, 2. Now, in country music, okay, just kind of deviate for just a second, this is what's known as a forward roll. And normally you would use a pick, and you would use hybrid picking, using maybe some different fingers. But this is probably the closest thing you'll get to a forward roll here without actually talking about the forward roll in complexity. But this is basically it. And we can even refer to it as a forward roll. Just a variation, right? Thumb, 1, 2. Thumb, 1, 2. Let me come back to the thumb. Now the most important thing with that technique, of course, is muting out all the strings so you don't hear any of the strings ring out. But the second thing too is getting the rhythm correct. You don't want to rush any of these fingers. You don't want to get caught up on the strings, which will in turn cause you to slow down. So you want this to roll very freely. You want the momentum to just keep rolling. Sometimes what I'll do is, to help me with that lift up off the second finger, and I don't know if you can see it here on the video or not, but I'm actually lifting my wrist just a little bit there. So if I go slowly here and see if I can show you what I'm doing, it's this. Maybe not quite that much, I'm exaggerating, just to get my point across. But that's what I'm doing. I'm also anchoring my pinky and or my 3rd finger against the other strings or the top of the guitar, so I know exactly where I'm at relative to the strings at all times with my hand, okay? Okay, but that's all I'm doing. Alright, so now we'll go and do example 2 now. And a little slower. And there it is, example 2. Okay. Example 3 is going to be totally different. This is for when you're really just playing by yourself or maybe with one other person or so, but certainly not something you would use with a full ensemble of characters, if you will, in a band. So what we're going to do here is talk about how to use the guitar as a percussive instrument. Okay, kind of cool. And what this is going to do is it's going to help you with some of the other things that we do with the percussive element, the percussive side of playing the guitar, because we are going to put the two together and do some interesting things, and you'll see that even later in the course. But what I want to do now is get you used to the techniques that we'll be using with the guitar. So first thing we'll be using here is this palm strike against the top of the guitar. Okay, it's all I'm doing is using my palm here. And then I'll be using this finger slap across the waist, the bottom waist of the guitar. Alright, so the palm heel, the palm strike, and the finger slap. Hopefully you can see that there. Okay, the other thing we'll be using is a thumb tap. Okay, it can be used anywhere. Okay, one thing you want to do is experiment with your guitar. Every guitar is going to sound different, and every area of the guitar on the soundboard and the sides is going to sound different. So you want to look over your techniques, how you're going to use them in the song, look at your guitar, how's it sound. It's a lot of experimentation here. Okay, but thumb tap. You also have a thumb tap that we can use down here if you don't have a cutaway guitar. I like to use percussive style techniques on guitars that don't have a cutaway, just so I can exploit more of it, and if I need to get to a particular strike or a hit or a tap or something on the guitar, I can do so, and I can work it into the arrangement much easier than going for something and having a cutaway. That could be pretty embarrassing. There's a finger roll. What I'm doing here is a thumb, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Thumb, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if your pinky isn't that strong, you may not hear the pinky come out. That's okay. That's no worries. That's no problem. I like to get the pinky in there for extra effect because I happen to have developed it over the years, so it's stronger. But that's just me. You don't need to have the pinky in there. So if you see me doing it and you hear it come out a little bit stronger than even maybe my third finger, it's because I was really, really frustrated that I couldn't get my pinky to be as strong as my other fingers, and now it is. So those are the main techniques that we'll be using, and I want to show you the first one here in 4/4 time. It goes like this. Example 3. Alright, so there's example 3 in 4/4 time. And we can also put this in 3/4 time like this. If you notice, the two palm hits are much closer together now, right? And there it is.